Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to show you how to make a token box specifically made for the game Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. So don't worry, you won't have any spoilers here, but we're going to go ahead and take off the lid, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the main board and the rule book. We'll get those out of the way, and let me just show you what it is we're going to be making. So in this game, it came with like a couple of bags and spots to put these tokens, but specifically, if you know anything about me, I hate bags and I hate clawing for tokens. Oh, what a flaw. Okay, so what I've done is there was this nice insert right here, and so I've designed this token box to hold the 3 different types of tokens, and I've tried to design it so that this can just be taken in and out of that insert, put on the game table so that everyone has access to these tokens. So yes, this isn't great for the big fingered, but I also kind of tried to design it so you could kind of like tap. It is what it is. But yes, this is what we're going to make. Now, as of the recording of this video, this design is intense enough that I haven't added any artwork to it. I actually kind of chose to not add artwork, first of all, because it'd be tough to do. But second of all, there's a lot of white space in this game, and especially in this insert and stuff. So for me, I actually kind of really liked it just being plain white, because then it just blended right in. It looks like it belongs, things like that. So this is what we're going to be designing. If you look in the description of this video, I have a link down here for a website where I have all of my different do-it-yourself box designs. And so if you click on that link, go ahead and find the button for the Billy Kerr game, and that will show you both this video is going to be on there, and it will have a link to get the PDF to print out. So that token box is going to come from this design right here. So what I'm going to do is, this project is going to require a paper cutter just to do the initial cuts, some scissors, and then in these projects I use 2 different kinds of tape. There's transparent tape that it doesn't look great when it goes on plain white paper, so I'm not using that. But then there is invisible tape that does look great on plain white paper, so I will be using this kind of tape. There's a tripod sitting right here, so I can't really use the paper cutter and be recording at the same time. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and cut out this big square, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out this rectangle right here. And I will meet you back. So if you need to go print this off, print it on cardstock, go print that off, get your supplies ready, maybe get the big outside trimmed out, and pause the video. You know how to use YouTube. So yes, meet me back here. I will have these 2 shapes cut out. Alright, welcome back. Hopefully you have your rectangle and your square cut out. The square is going to be the main body of the box, and the rectangle is going to form this T shape, this 3-part divider on the inside. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually just make the T shape very first thing. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and you're going to see all of my dotted lines are cut lines. So if you see a dotted line, you need to cut there. And solid lines are folding lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting this line right here. It's going to go all the way through, take this one big rectangle and turn it into 2 small rectangles. Like this. Okay, so let's just keep the square to the side for now. We're going to focus on the 2 rectangles here and now. Let's go to the big rectangle. You're going to see there's a single dotted line right here. We're going to take our scissors and just cut on that line. It's okay, and probably even good to just cut a tiny bit past that line. That's like an exact halfway point where the dot stops. You maybe, just for ease, go just a tiny bit past that. Not too far though. So we're going to go ahead and cut that right there. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to fold this all the way in half, and that's going to make these next cuts easier and more even. So here, let me use the desk. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold that in half. Oh my heck, I am struggling to do this on camera. Fold it in half. Okay, sorry. Give it a good crease. And then, same thing. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut on this dotted line. It's the same on both sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut on that dotted line with the paper folded in half. Like this. Maybe just a tiny bit past the halfway mark. Not super important, but it's just an option. Okay, now I'm going to point something else out. We're going to refold it, but I'm going to open it up for a second. If you open it up, you're going to see dotted lines right here. You are free to just cut this dotted line and this dotted line if you'd like to. But as I've built this box a couple of times, I found a tip that will make this easier. what we're going to do is I'm going to cut this at a very slight angle. So I'm still cutting the dotted line off, but I'm kind of making a triangle out of it. So I'm going to start here. I'll show you with my scissors. I'm basically going like this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut up to that other cut line like that. Let me flip it over and around to this side and do the same thing. Okay, so you'll know you did it correctly because it will kind of look like that when you open it up. All right, neat. While this is in my hand, let's do 2 more folds that are going to help us later on. We're going to take this part that we just cut at an angle, and we're going to take both sides. Now you could do this, well, there's different ways to do this. How would I say it? You could take each individual page and fold it in half downwards like this, or you can fold them together, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to take both sides and fold it down in half like that. That doesn't need to be exact. We're basically going to be inserting this into a thing and reopening it up. So let's do that same thing on this side. Fold it in half down like this, and just leave it like that. Okay, so you're going to have, I guess you could open it. I'm going to open it up. You'll see why in a second, but it should kind of look like this. All right, next we're going to do something very similar with this. We're going to fold this in half as close as we can. We're going to cut on these dotted lines. Now you're going to see there's no single bottom line or anything like that. So we're going to just take on the dotted line and cut maybe just a tiny bit past that. Just a tiny bit past that, like that. You'll see dotted lines on either side. You could just cut on those dotted lines if you want to. I prefer to cut them at a slight angle up to that line right there. Cut at a slight angle like that. Doesn't need to be dramatic at all. And why am I taking so long to get these out of the way? They're just bothering me. Okay, so if you open it up, probably looks a little something like that. And then what we're going to do is same thing. We're going to take the 2 edges and just fold them down in half. Fold it in half like that. Okay, neato. All right, now what we're going to do is, how is this going to go? Okay, so the way this is going to work is, how do I describe this? Okay, take the smaller rectangle that we just cut. Okay, in fact, I'm kind of embarrassed. We only needed to fold one of these sides, not the other one. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's keep that one folded. What we're going to do is we're going to open this up, kind of forming a T. If you want to crease it back first, that's great. But essentially, we're going to make a T shape like that. And what I want to do is, I want to take this paper, and I want that T shape to go inside of this cut right here. Do you see what I'm doing there? Maybe it'll help if I open it up. So if it's helpful, what you could do is you could imagine taking these 2 slits, okay? We're going to put the one inside the other just like this. Now we're making a T. So on the back side, what we're going to do is we're going to open both of those up so that they're flat, and we're going to close that larger rectangle over it like this. See that? And that's our T shape. So that was the easy part. It's going to get worse. But essentially, we want to have those. Now this T, can you see this? This T right here, that's what we're looking at right here. So if you want to, while you're holding the T shape, you could kind of open up these parts here, kind of the same thing, give them a fold if you want to. If you feel like that's intimidating, don't worry about it yet. But these things are going to go inside of the big square and open up like that. So having those creases is not a bad idea at all. All right, something like that. Okay, so we've got that. We'll just keep it to the side for now. Next up, what I'm going to do is let's come to the big rectangle, and you're going to see 4 L shapes on the corners that need to be cut out. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll keep it simple. There are other cuts you're going to see that, like maybe if you're feeling adventurous and you do, oh, I need to add, sorry, this, before I upload it, there are some more dotted lines, but you get the idea. We're cutting out these L shapes. I accidentally forgot to make that a dotted line, but I will before I upload this. All right, let's cut out these L's. They have X's, so you know they can go away. Like that. Like I said, this is kind of one of my more complicated, well, I don't know, I have some complicated designs, but this one was a doozy. It took a while. Okay, so just cutting out these outside edges like that. Okay, so this is kind of a cool shape. Next, oh, I totally forgot, supplies that we're also going to need. So sorry, you're probably also going to want like a cutting board and a razor of some kind. I just use like a kitchen cutting board and a box cutter. We're going to use those in just a second. Let me clean up my mess. Okay, next there are 4 more dotted lines that are easily accessible. So let's hit those. So right here, and here, and here. Now, if you've ever watched my designs before, you'll know that I like to do these kind of angle cuts that aren't really shown on the template, just to make things easier. So, do you see how I cut that square like that? On the outside of that square, let's just go ahead and cut that at a slight angle. We're going to be wrapping around that, so it'll make it a little bit easier. Can you see that? So nothing, you could skip this step if it's confusing, don't worry about it. I just know we're going to be folding up and over that square. So if I cut out a little bit of the edge, it'll just fit a little bit nicer. Okay, something like that. All right. Now you're going to see 3 dotted lines in the middle of the paper, and the only way that I've found to easily access them is with the cutting board and a razor, and I'm just going to go ahead and use that razor, cut through the paper just on those 3 parts. Okay. Make sure that you went all the way through the paper. Looks like I did. We're good. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add all of the creases to this paper. There are different ways to do this. I don't think it'll ultimately matter. Traditionally, when I make these videos, I put printed side down and I make all the folds. You're welcome to do that. What that will do is it'll put the solid lines on the outside of the box. If you fold it this way, all of the sided lines or the solid lines will go on the inside of the box. It really doesn't matter. Maybe because this design is so complicated, I'll keep the printed side up. But basically, every single one of these solid lines is going to need a crease. So I just say start on one end, start working your way in like this. And we'll go like, oh, I forgot this one. I just kind of hit all of those folds and then rotate it 90 degrees and go again, making sure you get every single one creased. Some of these folds are going to go the opposite direction that you're creasing, but that's okay. The nice thing about cardstock is as soon as you have that crease, you can go back and forth, no problem. You just need the actual initial crease. And look, you don't even really have to be that careful because all of your cutting lines, as long as you cut well, are going to guide all of your folds pretty much. So just going ahead and creasing every single one of these solid lines on my way around this shape. Just like that. Okay, people, things are going to get a little bit crazy here next. So our next step is we need to get this crazy T, we need to get these ugly things inserted into those cut marks that we just made. So the way I like to do this is I just start on one side of the T. If you want to start at the base, or it doesn't matter, but basically we're going to utilize those folds we did earlier. I'm going to take it and I'm going to stuff it in there like this, and once it's on the other side, I open that part up and I splay it out like that. Okay, so that's one part. I'm going to work my way around. Let's see if I can actually do this on camera because it does get trickier and trickier each new side you get in there. Just kind of have to force your way in there a little bit, like that. Get it out the other side. Open and open. Okay, next one. We're gonna get that in there like that. Something like that. We're gonna open and open. Okay, now those things are ugly. They are not pretty to look at, and we don't want to see them on the side of our box. So think about it. You've got the ugly sides, and then we're going to have pretty sides. So the way I do this is it's like this. Oh, I was noticing as I folded that up, do you see how this tab went on the inside of that box? You want that to be on the outside, like this. Okay, so how do I instruct you? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start on looking at your T. Let's start on the right-hand side. Make sure the ugly wings are out, and then you're going to bring the pretty wings up and over like that. See how I did that? So we had the ugly wings from the thing we put in, and we have the nice pretty wings that we had trimmed the sides of just at a slight angle. You bring those up and over like this, hold them closed. I'm kind of checking my corners to make sure my corners look good. And we're just going to throw a piece of tape on like that. And I know it's still not pretty, but don't worry, we're going to cover it up here in just a second. So that was one side. Let's do the other side of the T. So there's our T. Let's do the left side. There's the ugly wings. We're going to bring the pretty wings in like this. Just try to make sure that your corners are lining up as nicely as possible. We're going to hit it with a piece of tape like that. Okay, now we have, what should we do next? Okay, let's cover up that ugly side. It's lots of layers of ugly, and what we're going to do is we're going to take on the right hand side of the T, we're just going to take that side, fold it down and over just like this, and that's going to cover all of that ugliness that we just had, and wrap it around the bottom of the box. Let's do that same thing on the left-hand side. Just take that, throw some tape, wrap it around, just like that. Now I want to cover these ugly sides. So on the bottom of the T, you've got this part here. That's awesome. We're set up for that, so we can take it. So I'm noticing that T is just up a little tiny bit too high. If you need to trim it, please do. But I'm just going to take this side, wrap it up and over like this. Hit it like that. Now you might be bothered by this corner, like you see how that corner is not great, and it's not going to be perfect. This is a do-it-yourself project, but if you want to throw a piece of tape around the corner, again, this tape is pretty invisible on that white paper. You can hardly see it. It'll just hold things in place. Maybe you don't like this corner. I'm going to hit that in just a second. Let's get that one. Okay, now this last fold, this is like a choose-your-own-adventure book. This fold you can go back like the other ones, but just to be a little different, I actually like to bring this one inside, and it's just, the only reason I have this tab here is to make it so it's not like paper cuttery on the top. I want it to be a folded thing. So actually for this one, what I like to do is I just like to take a piece of rolled tape. This is above the T, and I like to put it right here, like that, and I just bring that down and in, just like that. And this box is ready to go. In fact, I like it better than the other one, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer the tokens into there like this. Oh, I did a kind of a bad job there. You guys are making me nervous. So there's our health tokens. Then we have those ones. And these ones here. Just like that. Now, the red ones are usually a little mischievous. But basically we can just take that box, put it here. The clipboard will hold those tokens down. I thought about doing a lid, but it was already complicated enough. But the clipboard goes there, and then the main player board and the rule book, those hold things in pretty nicely. if you need to or want to, I've actually considered grabbing some cardboard. These are some player aids that I made for myself. But yes, I haven't even laminated them yet. I really need to. Anyway, I made these player aids to help when I was teaching the game. But like for myself, once I get the lid in, there's like a little space. I'm almost looking at maybe finding like punch outs from a different insert to put under the big insert here, just to raise that so that it's perfectly flush. And then you shouldn't have any problem once you get the lid on there. Things should be nice and stable. So there you have it. If that was cool for you, check out my other designs on that website. If you like this idea, share it with other people. Things like that. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.